When it comes to communicating with stakeholders and the public, the most traditional forms, meetings and workshops, are often the most effective. But some meetings are more effective than others. Avoid massive public meetings open to everybody. At such a big meeting, it's impossible to properly discuss any of the detailed, complex issues. Rather, schedule smaller meetings with particular interest groups and tailor the agenda to that group's interests and capacity. Remember that within each stakeholder category, there can still be diverse interests. Within local governments, for example, the concerns will be different, depending on the size of the city, whether it's on the coast or inland, what its economic situation is, and even cultural and religious factors. Take the time to meet separately with different subgroups. When it comes to property developers, meetings are also important, but getting everyone, including competitors, into the same room is not helpful. Plan your approach according to how your local industry operates. If there's a handful of very powerful developers, you might meet separately with each. Where there's a range of smaller scale developers, it could be useful to group firms that do not work in the same place. One-on-one meetings with key individuals, usually professional or academic experts, but also retired officials, retired professionals, should also be part of your strategy. Given the chance to speak freely and off the record, these people often provide unique and valuable perspectives. This is another reason to make sure your drafting team isn't top-heavy with foreign experts. You need local networks to find these people. What about newspapers, broadcast media, and the internet? Often you'll be legally required to publish drafts in newspapers, but this is not always the best way to actually reach and engage with people. To increase your effectiveness, publish in popular daily newspapers, as well as official gazettes, and include a clear, concise explanation of draft laws and regulations for people who aren't legal experts. But if you really want to engage people, you'll need journalists to publish short, regular articles about the process. If journalists are interested in the topic but lack the confidence or ability to write about technical legal issues, help them out by providing press releases and other material they can develop and adapt. It's easier to engage successfully with media if you develop a sense of what counts as news. Technical legal changes on their own don't sound interesting, so focus on explaining what impact they will have on actual daily life in cities. And don't be too afraid of oversimplifying. Invite the media to briefings and landmark events. Brief them appropriately, provide background documents, and stay open and accessible to journalists. Simply returning phone calls and emails can take you a long way. If there are issues relevant to the new law in the news, offer commentary on it. For example, we recognize that property tax is a problem, which is why we're drafting this new law. Be alert to coverage that might distort and misrepresent the issues, and respond appropriately, depending on the situation. A phone call to the journalist, a letter to the editor, a request for a correction, or a high-profile ministerial statement might be needed. Cultivating good relationships with the media can help to ensure widespread public support for your work. Don't neglect the internet, email, and social media. Use a website to disseminate drafts and policy papers for comment, provide background information, and supply contact details. Issue notices of public meetings on social media as well as more traditional media. This is another way to make sure your reach is as wide as possible.